house at one time, and you had Mighty Hebrew in your house at one time or another, and that woman was married to both of them, why would you label her knowing that Zabak and Mighty Hebrew had her as a wife before you? They're saying that that's adultery. So I'm giving you the floor to answer the questions. Go ahead.
So, okay, if somebody divorced, is that adultery?
The floor is yours. You answer it.
Right. If I would say somebody divorced, right? Or you met somebody who already had children, woman already had children, they divorced, and you marry that woman, that's adultery. You told it is. Right. If I would say somebody divorced, right? Or you met somebody who already had children, woman already had children, they divorced, and you marry that woman, that's adultery. You told it is, because the woman can't get another husband unless the husband died. Right? So we all, so if you want to say that's adultery, then yeah, I commit adultery. So if you want to say that's adultery, then yeah, I commit adultery. So if you want to say that's adultery, then yeah, I commit adultery. I'm gonna tell you why? Because that was some dirty shit. Because that was some dirty shit. Because that was some dirty shit. But guess what? I knew it before Sabak. I knew it before Maggie. But guess what? I knew it before Sabak. I knew it before Maggie.
Whosoever shall put away his wife, let him give her a writing of divorcement. But I say unto you that whosoever shall put away his wife, saving for the cause of fornication, right, cause her to commit adultery, right, and whosoever shall marry her that is divorced committeth adultery already. So now that we understand what the scriptures is talking about, why are we doing this? You know what I'm saying? Now why are you going and congregating with other brothers, congregating with their wives, mixing back and forth? This is why Paul said in is it Timothy, the 3rd chapter, if a man, basically if a bishop must be blameless, the husband of one wife, right? That was actually talking about, is really talking about the woman being passed around. And he couldn't know if he was the husband of one wife because of the confusion in the churches. Now, he would have had, some of them might have had 3 or 4 wives already. But this is why they would say the husband of one wife. I want to give all the praises, any honor to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Recha HaKodash, and double honors to the elder apostles and bishops of Great Millstone. Honors as well to you, brother, and you fellow believers of this truth. That includes you sisters as well, you sincere ones, and shalom to the elect. So anyway, I want to do a correction on this video because we don't want to put out the wrong information, because what happens is the scriptures say a little leaven leaveneth the whole lump. So in this video, when I spoke on that, you know, the bishop or deacon would have had more than one wife, I want to make the correction on that, and I want to go back to some commentary, and some of the commentary you have to watch, because remember, these are so-called scholars, and all of them have different opinions and approvals on what they see as canon, right, or their breakdowns on what they believe. Well, really, it's about prophecy, and they're not prophets, you know. So I want to go into this a little bit on 2 Timothy. Now, according in this video, because I did a video on the Bishop Nathaniel about this, we're going to go into that a little bit. I'll try to make a short lesson out of it as well. This is 1 Timothy 3:2. A bishop must be blameless, the husband of one wife, vigilant, sober, of good behavior, given to hospitality, apt to teach. There's a reason why all that was said in there. And I'm going to read a little bit. I'm going to read a little bit of commentary just to kind of bring it together on what's going on. And I would just read small parts just to get the good part out of it, because I don't want to make this long. Anyway, this is, what translation is this? This is Cambridge. This is Cambridge. It's easy to lose your spot when you move it. Okay, it says here, it says change his mind on the Titus 1:6. and was acted upon some of the Eastern bishops. Many converts, this is the point, many converts to Christianity would have more than one wife. They are nowhere commanded to put away all but one, but it was not seemingly that a man in such position should be a Christian minister who ought to have all respects to be an ensample of the flock. So, in other words, if you had more than one wife and you joined the IUIC, they wouldn't accept it, when clearly this was talking about the overseer of the church, a bishop or deacon of the church, and there was a reason for that. So this also means, well, as I said before, if you go into the IUIC or the HODC, they teach the same thing. If you have 3 wives, you know, that's not permitted in their church. Okay. Also, it's another part to it too. I can't remember. But if you have a unbelieving wife, right, and she doesn't believe within a year's time, you got to get rid of her. Now, this is why Paul said in the scriptures about the unbelieving wife. Well, let me get that. I don't just want to quote it. I want to read it. 1 Corinthians, I believe it's 7 and 14. Okay, it says, for the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife, and the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband. Now, these things were said because they would say if the wife was unbelieving, just like the IUIC, or the husband was unbelieving, you got to get rid of him. But clearly here, Paul is saying, according to the scriptures, you're sanctified, right? When Yahushua came, he shed his blood for the Israelites, for the remission of sins. So this, you had Israelites who were non-believing. And if you had a partner that was non-believing, the Lord brought you together as a union. So, you know, in the hopes that eventually that you would convert. And you maybe not, but I don't want to add to it. But the simple fact is, if you're believing, if you're a believing husband, your wife is sanctified by you, right? She don't have to come running up in the church and trying to, and that's what they do in those churches. So we see Bishop, you know, this stuff going on with the IUIC looks like repeated history. I can only imagine if you joined up in this church of the IUIC and you had two or three wives, how would that work? Would they take 2 of them and pass them around? I don't know. I'm not saying that's the case, but you would have to do something to be up in that school. And this is why you have to do your due diligence and research what school you're trying to come in and where you're trying to learn from. They just make everything 1,000 times harder. But anyway, so I'm going to read a little more. So again, to clear it up, you know, it wasn't profitable for a bishop to have more than one wife, right? Because of the trouble. That's why he said, let me read some more. I got another one I'm going to read. There's a reason for that, right? You haven't seen Yahushua rebuke a man for having more than one wife, right? Because the reason why I'm going in that, because Christians say that the law changed and a man is only supposed to have one wife, because he see this example that went on in the church. But that wasn't for everybody else. That was the bishop, the overseer of the church. And why did that happen? Let's read a little bit. This says, it says, Paul alludes upon the shamefulness in Rome. I'm gonna just get to the point. There were cases in the cities of women who reckoned their years rather by their husbands than by the councils. It says women who had arrived at their 10th husband in 5 years, right? And then you go to the precept, because you had Yahushua who rebuked the woman at the well for having 5 husbands, right? Although she was a heathen, we were still following those kind of practices. That's where the rebuke came in. See, the bishops, it was nothing wrong with having more than one wife, but it wasn't beneficial in the church because of all the adultery that was going on. So why would he have more than one wife? Because what happened is those, women, just as you saw, I put this clip in with the Elder Quanath and Priest Zabak and Mighty Hebrew. These women try to rake their way up onto the top. So you get caught, because you know what these women do? They'll make you believe that you're the top dog. It ain't about you, it's more about them, right? So you get, and that's why Solomon said their hands are snares and nets. It says, and in 5 years had 8 husbands. Among the Jews, we know polygamy was prevalent. It goes on to say the relationships between the sexes. There was just much confusion, man. And some of these, you got to take it with a grain of salt. You just get the idea of how things were and kind of put it together. There was a reason. I'm just going through the fact that there's a reason why Paul said what he said. It says the sacred marriage of the officers, who in their married state had contented themselves with one wife and with one husband at a time, because thereby they had showed themselves temperate in the use of sensual pleasures. I'm just scrolling through some of this. According to somebody else, the determination of persons who divorced each other unjustly were guilty of adultery. And this is exactly why Yahushua said that, when he said, whoever shall look on a woman and lust after her committeth adultery already in his heart. And of course, they left the part out that this precept to Deuteronomy and Leviticus, right? That a man is who looks upon a neighbor's wife and covered after her committed adultery, right? So all this, the sicknesses that the laws are supposed to heal and keep us together as a people, we got away from that, Hellenized, and we started. This is why Yahushua said, I bring a new thing unto you. It wasn't new in general. It was new because our people didn't understand it. I remember David Lynn said that, right? Love your neighbor is new. Yeah, it was new to the Israelites who didn't know. Okay, it says, who would divorce each other unjustly, right? And had more wives and husbands than one at a time, as was the case with the woman in Samaria. Oh, there we go. The apostle, to restrain their licentious practices, which were common among the Greeks and the Romans, as well as among the Jews, ordered that no widow should be chosen to instruct the younger women, right? Because you had the older women, right, that would do that. But such as had been the wife of one husband at a time. This is why he said a bishop must be blameless, the husband of one wife. That also actually means one wife. But if you marry and you already have a wife and you start marrying other women and you already have a wife, right? Chances are, even if you wasn't married and you married somebody in that church, chances are you'd have been marrying a woman who already had a husband, right? That's why he said blameless. That's why also Paul says, I wish you was as I am, right? To not have to deal with those kind of situations. Because then you would be blameless of the adultery, right? Basically avoid the situation so there won't be a problem. Here's another one. This is virtually the view of the Greek church, which requires the priest to be married but forbids the second marriage, requires the priest who have lost his wife to cease from exercising his functions. So again, there's a whole lot in here. So you read, you kind of just take the meat from the rest. But the bottom line, that's the point that I want to make. There's a reason why that the bishop would be blameless, because the only way to be blameless is not taking on all these wives who have already had other husbands. This is no way that point that, we're not allowed to have more than one wife. That's why I said the overseer, the top man, must be blameless. So if there's a man that came in Great Millstone and he already had 3 wives, what does he do? He can't kick off the 2 wives. If I may quote in Romans 15:4, everything written aforetime is for our learning. That's why the apostles of Great Millstone, who've been through that, which I wasn't around at that time to know that those schools and what was going on with the women, we just avoid all that altogether. Anyway, that's all I have on that. Shalom.